and welcome to another episode of IT Pro TV. I'm your host, Mike Roderick, and with me today is Mr. Sean Oriano. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Ready for another exciting episode in our Kali Linux series. And in this one, it's going to be a continuation of a previous episode. We've been going over some of these web analysis tools, so if you missed those previous episodes, make sure you go back and check those out. We kind of did a high-level overview of some of the different tools that we can bring to bear against web servers and web applications. And before that, we talked about just the general concepts of what a web server, web application is, the client-server relationship, that kind of thing. And in this episode, we're going to actually take a look at some of these tools and see some of the information that we might be able to get back on a web server. So Sean, where the heck do we start?
We've got so many different places we can start. So I figured we'd start by showing one of probably a new tool to a lot of you, if not all of you. Definitely one we haven't seen in any of the security stuff that we've done. It's kind of related to it. Is related to some other tools we've used. It's one called Vega. And what Vega does for us is Vega is what it fits in a category of what they call web crawlers. So if you're going under the menus in there, you'll see web crawlers. Now, it's more than just a web crawl in the sense that it's going through and looking at a website and telling you what the structure of it looks like. Yeah, it does that, but there's much, much more that it does. It actually combines the ability of something that's crawling and spidering the site. It puts that together with something that is basically a vulnerability type scanner. It's got that, so it's really kind of giving you some good, really good information here. Now the thing is, the scans do take a little bit of time. So I've taken the liberty of starting to scan, prior, to us starting, here. So that's one of the reasons why we had a little longer break there.
Well, we appreciate that.
Well, that's what I'm telling all these guys. They don't know. I was out there screwing around. But anyway, so what I'm going to do here is on my machine, I have already gone ahead and loaded up Vega. Now, what you see here is you see the results of a scan. And you can start a new scan. It's actually still scanning right now. I mean, I started this not too long after we went to break, and it's still doing that. So what's happening is I started a new scan. And it's doing its job. I just kind of opened it up and said, do your stuff. And
just give the URL for the web server?
Yeah, I gave the URL. You tell it. Yeah, this one I just told it, for kicks, and I can stop that. I told it just to go through and do a quick scan. It's of USA Today's site, so it spidered the thing out and all that. So no problem there or anything. This stuff just came out of it's stuff that it's come out of publicly known stuff and all that. So.
He was calling USA Today earlier before the thing and saying, hey, we're going to borrow your website for a minute.
And I got an idea for tomorrow's little graph thing. So, but what we're seeing here is I ran the scan on it, and what we're seeing is over here on the the upper left hand side, we are seeing a list of these domains, subdomains, and stuff like that this thing links to. So it's just kind of a straightforward thing there. It doesn't go out to all of them at all. What it does is it just says, okay, here I found some other sites this links to, and it's kind of interesting when you look at a site like this and just do kind of a cursory look at it. Just how many sites a site like this actually. So has stuff fired out to.
Those might be like banner ads or graphics that are pulling from other sites, or like me on Facebook type buttons that link to other sites and things like that.
Yeah, actually, when you look down the list, you see stuff like Google. That would be like an ad network. I mean, it's grayed out because it didn't scan it. There's other ones in here. A couple of ones that start with API for something, so it's somehow linking. Linking out to there. Probably got some sort of partnership going on with them. Some that looks like it has something to the Tennessean.com. I think that's another newspaper. There's a crosswords one. I mean, so there's a lot of different things that they have. Instagram, iTunes, they've got doing that. So there's so many. There's Twitter, Pinterest. I mean, they've probably got, I saw LinkedIn in there. They probably got buttons on certain things that they can that they've can do this type of stuff with.
And take a quick break from that and get that question there. Guido was asking, is there any sites you know of that you can practice against or scan legally, or is it more of a set up your own test network, get some of those vulnerable machines and do it that way?
There's sites that you can scan against legally out there. One I know of is IT Pro. No.
No.
That's not an authorization of that. Yeah. All right.
We'll be editing that one out in just a little bit.
Mute. No.
Michaela put one up there. Pentestlab.org. Looks like they've got maybe a site they can go to. That's good.
Yeah, there's sites like that. To be honest, yeah, there's and be serious about. Yeah, there are sites that you can do that with, that you can just go ahead and run a scan against. They put them out there for that. So if you need to do those sorts of things, then you can by all means do that. So in this case with USA Today, I did it. I know somebody there, so I asked. Okay. Anyway, I didn't just randomly go through and do it. I do know somebody there, and asked them, like, yeah, can I just use this demo? He's like, sure. So yeah, I didn't just like, hey, screw it, watch. Look, after this, go after the White House. Let's see what they do.
And I know that the one you mentioned the other day, like Metasploitable 2 is a good one. You can set up your own. You can find trial software typically to set up your own. A little bit more work, but it definitely keeps you on the legal side of things.
Yeah, in fact, stuff like Metasploitable and other ones, we mentioned Solaron and a few other ones like that, they're designed for that specifically, so you can test against them. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different forms of those tools that you can, or different configurations of vulnerable machines that you can test against. I mean, they don't even have to be vulnerable machines. They could be, some of those appliances that some of these different vendors put out with their own virtual machines on. I mean, you might try just grabbing something they have with their own product on and drop it in and see if what happens. Right. I mean, that's not a bad practice to do those sorts of things. So just something to consider to when you're doing this. But I chose this one just because it's a site. The results here, I kind of tweaked them a bit to kind of get get results that looked interesting. Now, don't count on these things actually being the gospel truth in real life. I just went ahead and, like I said, I tweaked these things to give us something that looks interesting for our demo here. So anyway, so we've got in the upper left hand, we have the overall website view, as they call it, that gives us all those goodies. Then we see the scan alerts, down there down there on the left-hand side. You can see it's actually got, and if these results were legit, as far as being the truthful results from that site, we'd look at it and say, okay, well, there's 191 high-level things, and this one I stopped the scan. It's at 23% complete. I mean, 23% complete, you got that many. It's something that I'm going to scrutinize a bit closer. But for here, it's, like I said, it's been tweaked to get those results, just so we can kind of see if some variety here instead of just a small number of things. I want something that looked interesting. So you can expand the stuff out here, and you can see it breaks it into categories. I got some cross-site scripting issues that I could take a look at, and it says, okay, here's specifically where the potential cross-site scripting problems are. So it's really broken those things out for us. And let me kind of just drag that out a bit. So you can see it's got a few places where it thinks, yeah, you could have cross-site scripting concerns here. So if these were factual, authentic results, you would be going to those locations and saying, what is actually going on here? Okay, now if I click on something, you can see over in the right-hand side the window changes, and it says here, it goes, here's what I found at that location. You can see, okay, it's found, just as at a glance, it gives you a brief view of it, telling you what the problem is. I mean, there's the specific snippet of code that it believes has a problem. So you would want to analyze that and take a look to see if there is a problem that exists, first of all, and second of all, is it a big enough problem for you to have to address it, or can you leave it as is?
And I'm looking at the URL on that one. It doesn't even look like it's a USA Today thing, so that could be a big eye-opener for an organization when they have you do a pen test against their web server, and they might even thought about vulnerabilities that might exist on pages that are linked or are providing code for them and things like that.
Yeah, in fact, if you saw that, yeah, you're right. You look at that script source, it says gannett.cdn. That should be something that should at the very least raise an eyebrow. It's like, why is that? Why is that there? Well, Gannett is actually the parent company of USA Today, the main publishing house. So just by saying that it's suspicious and all that, yeah, it's suspicious. It's not what you were expecting. If you went in that and saw it, said it's suspicious and it doesn't match what you'd expect, I'd be looking it up. And once I found out that, oh yeah, it's the parent company, I'm like, okay, I'd rather check that than just say, nah, everything looks okay here.
This is what happens when you do a Slack job in your reconnaissance. I didn't even know that was the parent company. Darn on, shame on me. I found out this is one of the things you find out. You find out kind of just by doing your poking around. I didn't find it out because of pen testing. I found it out because of doing a couple other things. Because I look at their site fairly regularly, but their site, Gannett has also not only owns USA Today, they also license the content out to other sites, and they also have a presence in many different markets like these big media companies do. So where this fits into us is you can actually see situations where you might go to another site. I think that Tennessean site's a good example. I think if you type in that Tennessean site and go there, it actually it's branded as the Tennessean as a paper for that region. But it looks extremely similar to USA Today. It's formatted the same way, same portal look and everything. It's because they just basically said, hey, here you go, rebrand it and put it over here. So that's how I kind of found that out when I was running into news sites that look the same. I'm like, wow, okay, it's a good layout, but if everyone uses it, it kind of loses its magic. That's why. Yep.
So, but if I hadn't done that, I would be checking the same thing, going, why is that there? I don't recognize that as an ad network immediately, so there's something else going on. But yeah, you go right through and you can see that these are all things that it sees as being problems, and then we have shell and injection issues. It's saying that there's a problem here, and you can see what the description of the problem is. It says, yeah, there's a problem with it looks like a specific script and the way it's maybe accepting data. Okay, fine. Well, we would take a look at that and see, okay, what's going on. I mean, look at the impact of this one. It says there could be a problem there. So notice the operative word could be a problem there, and it says may lead to unauthorized remote access. Well,
sounds severe.
Yeah, that's an eye opener there. Let's kind of flag that one to see if that really is the case. Well, first of all, see if it really exists, and then if it really exists, what we can do to address it. And so it's even telling you how do you fix it. Well, those are very generic steps. You could pretty much figure out, oh well, hey, there's this problem I think might be there. Okay, let's get a developer and have them look at it, see what the nature of it is. And then of course you got your SQL injections, which are very, very common. They've got those things broken out since there's 5 of those existing. So if we open those things up, I like that they're all on the horoscope pages. It looks like
Nice.
except for one. I wonder if the horoscope people saw that coming. All right. I wonder if they're on their horoscope site on Oracle. Okay, all right. I had to go there. I'm doing it. All right, I don't care. So, all right. So you can see we've got the medium ones all too. We can keep going right on, right on through it. I won't, but you can see this thing generated a pretty good report of what's going on this site, and I do like to see that, because now I've got stuff I can see. Well, do I want to go take any of this stuff further? Here's some medium ones, some info problems, low ones. You can sit there and just browse through these things and see what you have, and you can save these results for later if you want.
Right.
So a really great thing for you to have kind of in your arsenal. This is probably not going to be the stealthiest pen testing tool, but it is something that is actually useful to you to take to kind of put into your toolkit. If someone tasks you with a gray or white box type test, they know you're there and you know what their deal is, and you can go ahead and run this, not worry about it. A black box test, this probably isn't the best choice necessarily, because it doesn't really have much in the way of options. It's adjusting the scan settings, so it's going to really be hitting that hard and heavy, but it will get you some good results.
It's one of my kind of tools, right? You just type in a URL, you click scan, and you come back an hour or two later. I like that. It's just compiling all that information, and not a lot of work, not very difficult to configure. So,
yeah, it's very simple, very easy for you to use, and I mean, there's some adjustments, by the way, you can do with the scan. There's not. It's not like they completely cut you loose on that. I mean, you can do things. There's the actual target. You can set. You can choose a scope for it and see how far out you want to make the thing. So you can exclude certain parts of the website. Say I don't want to go look in there, so just leave that alone. So that might be useful. You can see if you. I'll say. I'll just leave the URL the same. Then you can go over, it says, okay, what modules do you want to run? And take a look. You can click in, you can tell it what specific things you want to take a look at. If you take a look at the ones we have here, you can see that it has a whole host of things already checked. You can see, I mean, and if you're really paying attention to these things going by, maybe you don't see them all. We've got things for Social Security and Social Insurance Number Detector. That's PII. So it's got that sitting there. If you kind of scroll up the list a bit, you can see that it's got a section in there for that's not checked in for checking credit card information to see if any of that's exposed. So it's already got modules to check some of the things that might be of concern to us, or at least should be concern for you. If You're not, if you're like, name my credit card, whatever, I don't care. I'm gonna use it. You can check those things and see if they do it. So once you've got your modules, you can start setting identities. You can tell if there's a specific thing you want to use to have you appear to as that site. You can do that. You can have it set cookies to say you were there or whatever if you want. And once you're done with that, you can just keep clicking right on through and go ahead and do the scan.
Nice.
So you can see there's not a ton you got to put in. And now the thing is, it will take some time. Don't count on this thing just all of a sudden, just unless it's a very small site, expect just go boom and be done. Some sites also, by the way, will not let you go in and run this thing either. And the reason for that is that robots.txt may be there and it may be stopping it. So this thing does respect that. And so if someone wants to do a pen test and they have that, and they have a robots.txt that's stopping that, they're going to need to temporarily remove that or rename it or something to prevent it from reacting to that.
Right.
So that's that is Vega. It's just one of the actual web crawlers that we have. Web crawlers. That's what they call Spider-Man. So we've got that's just one type of web crawler. We also have some other ones in there too. Just FYI, you can see they've got one for Apache. They've got OWASP in there. Of course, there's Vega. Web Scarab's one that people tend to like. What Web Scarab does, it's actually starting up. It's another utility it can go through and help you go through and really kind of examine a site. This one, what's really neat about this one is, and I won't go through about configuring this one and working with it quite yet, but what this one does is this one could be useful. You can see things it can grab for you. I mean, session IDs, that would be useful actually if you could start picking out session IDs on this, and you could start picking them out and saying, okay, well, there's a pattern here, or I'm actually able to readily just see what the pattern is, and I can see it's reusing session IDs in here. Well, you see that we got a session hijacking concern here. It's just all of a sudden a big reg flag came up. But you also have a built-in fuzzer as part of this, so you can use it for that if you want. It's got stuff for SAML, just in case you don't remember SAML. That is for doing federation services or federated services. I always say federation. I guess I do too much Star Trek. You've got as SAML's used. One of the things it's used for is federated services. It's used in other areas too. It's an XML-based format that is used to set security associations and claims between applications. So Federation Services uses that to link together things like Active Directory with external applications, so it can share authentication stuff that way. But if memory serves, I'm not a developer, but I believe the SOAP system uses that too. Might be wrong, so no one freak out and tell me and go, you're wrong, got him. And no, I'm not 100% sure about that one because I'm not a developer, but I think SAML is used there too. There's that deal, and you can see we have some other services just going right on through. It's extendable. There's some cross-site scripting checks it can do for you. So this is another one that's pretty powerful as far as things that can check applications out for you. And you can see it's got the spidering. As far as the spidering goes, that's what Vega does, but it includes other things, and these other things you may recognize from the Burp Suite. The Burp Suite does do some of these things as well. The Burp Suite will actually feed stuff through from when you browse something in the browser. The browser puts the requests through Burp Suite, and Burp Suite goes out to the web, and they go back and forth through Burp Suite as the man in the middle, and that gives the Burp Suite the advantage of analyzing the traffic as it goes back and forth, or the headers, so you can kind of see the interplay. And as a developer, you can see what that is and fix it where problems arise. As an attacker, you can see the responses and maybe make alterations and stuff like that to go to a different part of the site or just change what the site's supposed to be doing normally. So this can have that ability too, but it's got plenty of stuff even outside of those things. So and I'm pointing that out just to kind of not to overwhelm you, but just to give you an idea that you've got a broad range of capabilities even amongst the different products within a specific category. You've got a lot of things you can use to really get that thorough and effective test going.
Nice. All right, so we got a couple there. Any others we want to pull out and play with, or?
I think with those ones with the web applications, as far as the crawlers go, I think we've hit the big ones with crawlers. I definitely did want to talk about Vega because I thought that was kind of a new, interesting one. Then I wanted to talk about like we said, WebScarab back there. WebScarab, one of the other reasons why I bring that up here is that was one that's in the CEH. It's in the CEH course. It was mentioned when we did analysis of web servers and web apps. So that was mentioned there, but we didn't get to see it. Now that's what it actually looks like. We're not going to worry about using that at this point in time, but it is actually there.
Can we kill that
so.
box in box, guys? Let's take a look at that list while he's talking about it there.
Yeah, let's zoom in on that a bit more if we can, just to make sure, because again, my fat head's right in the way. If I shaved that thing, that glare would blind you guys right now. So yeah, there's our big a quote unquote big list that we have there. So Burp Suite, like I said, we've still got that one ahead. But there's the other things that you have specifically, on this list, and you've seen, by the way, just about everything I've picked so far. Even though it's not a ton, the stuff I've picked has all been GUI based. I don't think that there's really too many that are command line based. Maybe Directory Buster is. I guess maybe it isn't either, because Directory Buster just brought up its own own GUI as well. So. This is one, like I said, this is one of these areas that they do have a lot of GUI-based stuff to help you out, because there's just so many things that can be done. It's hard to kind of do this just off the top of your head.
And probably to point out too, some of these tools look like they're designed to scan servers and look for vulnerabilities. Some of them, like this one, looks like it's meant to take down a server. See, like brute force attacks and things like that. So probably need to make sure we know what we're doing when we pick the appropriate tool for the situation.
Whitehouse dot no. Yeah, yes. Some of these things, yeah, might actually be there could be a serious danger with that. This one, I'm not. This one, if you set it too aggressive, yeah, it possibly could do that. Actually what it would probably cause is a denial of service as it opens up all these threads and tries to scan the directory structure. If it did that too aggressively, it's gonna slow down that, and yeah, you do have a danger there of some amount that it could take that down. So that's your testing. I mean,
But yeah, that's what we might be being paid to do, right? To see if we can take that thing down.
yeah, and test this in your lab. Again, we can keep saying that, but that really comes down to you test the stuff in the lab to make sure you really understand what the implications of this are. Because you can see in the lab pretty quickly if something like this is firing out tons of traffic. If you have Wireshark or whatever your favorite sniffer is sitting over there, and all of a sudden stuff is just flying by at light speed, and all you did is hit a single button, nothing else is happening. Yeah, there's the possibility you could brute force, you could denial of service something without even thinking about it, and you wouldn't be the first one that's done that. I just don't want you to be the next one, so be careful with that.
Very good. All right, a lot of really good tools available right here in Kali to do our penetration testing against web servers and web applications so that we can find out where those vulnerabilities lie, see if they're susceptible to different types of attacks. We talked about fuzzing, and we talked a little bit about SQL injection. We're going to hold another episode. We're going to deal with some of those database vulnerabilities. So a lot of good stuff, Sean. Anything else you want to throw in our web tools analysis before we wrap this one up?
At least on this, part of it with the web crawlers. No, there's not really anything else I'd want to throw in at this point. I think we kind of hit what we needed to. So you can go ahead and experiment with the rest of them if you so choose.
Have fun. Set up a web server, get your little sandbox going, and fire away at it. All right, well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in. For now, we are going to call it a wrap. So signing off for IT Pro TV, I'm Mike Roderick.
And I'm Sean Ariano.
And we'll see you next time.